All right, welcome to Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani, and of course, joining us here today is someone very, very special. He's in fact one of the most prominent faces when we speak about race car and driving here in India, and he's somehow put the nation on the world map. Races for F2 for Dams, and also is reserved in F1 for Alpine. Kush Maini from home. Thank you so much for speaking to us. It's a pleasure, and hope you're doing well.
No, pleasure's mine. Thank you for your time.
Kush, I have to ask you first off, this is a sport that is very, very difficult to move up the ranks especially when it is from India. What motivated you to take this up in the first place?
Honestly, it started off a bit as obviously my dad was in racing. He was at the national
Yes.
level, and my brother is 3 years older than me, Arjun. He started racing at a young age, and he was very good at the start, and he was getting a lot of attention from everyone because he was winning. So it was a bit of like almost like I was jealous and I wanted to beat him at racing. So I didn't really love it at first. I used to love every sport, but I wanted to just do racing to try and beat him. But eventually, at 11 or 12 years old, is when I started realizing that I actually fell in love with the sport, and that's when I went to Europe because I wanted to give it a proper shot and try and make it. So yeah, that's how it started really.
In fact, that was my next question. It runs in the family, so where does the real inspiration come from? Do you not have to look outside the home, or is there someone else that you really look up to, especially when you're talking about this particular sport?
I have to say Arjun, my brother. But honestly, at this, I was very cocky young kid, so I would say at the start it was just trying to beat them, but eventually I did fall in love with the sport. But he definitely fell in love with it a lot earlier than me. So at the start it was just about competition, but eventually I did fall in love with it. So I would have to say my brother.
I love it. I love it when there's healthy rivalry. We see that so often, especially in this generation, across various disciplines too. Uh, but if, but you speak about how you didn't like it initially, and then now it's obviously second skin. What part, or what was that time when you really realized, okay, this is exactly where you belong, and this is exactly what you had to do?
I would say probably when I won my first race, a proper big race at 11 or 12. That's when I was like, okay, I can do this. And that's when something clicked in my head where, I wasn't confused anymore between other sports. I just wanted to sacrifice everything for this sport. And that's when my dad sort of saw that as well. And luckily he gave me this opportunity. My whole family gave me this opportunity. I was very lucky to have it. But I would say around that age is when it changed. I started karting for fun when I was 7 or 8.
Yeah.
So it took almost 3-4 years to get to that level.
I have to ask you at this point, when you look at how far you've come, and of course, there's a long way to go too. Where do you see your achievements sit at this stage? Because it is difficult to produce someone like you when you look at a country as populated, as massive as India. But still, there is someone like you who's come up. Of course, there were drivers before you. We know that. There was a Naren Karthik and this Karan Chandok. There are people. But where do you pace yourself at this point? How do you view your achievements currently?
Me currently, I'm nowhere near what I want to be, and I'm nowhere near where I think I can be. I feel there's a long way to go, and I really want to put India on the Formula One map, not just Formula Two.
Absolutely.
And that's my main goal still. I know what I'm capable of. I know what I can do. So looking at that, I've nowhere near achieved what I want to.
You know, I want you to tell us about the challenges that someone like you faces in a sport like this, and what's your vision like? How do you goal set, especially when you look at the next couple of years? It's crucial. Tell us a bit about that.
I would say definitely the toughest part in racing would be because there's not, a massive platform to race in India.
Yeah.
I would say I had to leave India very early. I love India and everything I know is here. So to leave India at 12 alone and go live with a mechanic in Europe, obviously with such a different culture at a young age, was scary. But also, you miss a lot of your childhood. Whereas for a European, it would be a 2-hour flight on the weekend. They go the race, they come back to their lives. So
Yeah.
for us, it was almost like we leave everything behind. So to do that, obviously financially and also just for a young kid mentally, is very tough. So I would say that would probably be the toughest. And, from then for like 10, 15 years, I mean, no one really knew who you are. You didn't really feel like you were making a difference. So that would be the hardest part, where you feel you've given up everything, but you still don't feel like you're making a big enough difference. So yeah, I would say uh, giving up your childhood and giving up everything you know from a young age would probably be the biggest thing. There's a lot of sacrifices that go into this, and obviously to do it alone as well at that young age was tough. But to have Arjun do it as well, honestly, I don't think I would have been able to do it without him doing it by my side.
I want to say don't be too hard on yourself, but you did say something that leads me to the next point of conversation, which is India and F1. That's a very tenuous relationship. We've had our moments, but it's always been something that's unattainable, right? How do you see the future of India when it comes to F1 and in that regard, especially as someone who has that connect and is yearning to make it big yourself as a driver, as an Indian driver too?
I think my goal is still Formula One, and I feel me making it to Formula One as an Indian would change everything. I feel like the Grand Prix would come back. We just need someone to cheer on who's from our country, our blood, who bleeds our flag. And, I'm going to give it my all to be that person because I feel like reserve driver is great and racing in F2 is great, but making it to F1 gets that gets into the conversation of the Grand Prix coming back, etc. And we're such a big country, and already the interest is so big for F1. Imagine if we have someone, of our own there. I think it would explode, and it's such an untapped market as well, India in general, that a lot of things can happen. And I'd give up any race win in the world to even race in India in an F1 race. So that's definitely my only goal.
Is that critical then? Because you see so many countries vying to get an F1 race. India's hosted one in the past, albeit for a very, very brief period of time. South Africa is vying for that as well, for it to come back. How important is it for India to get hosting rights? How important is for a race to happen here again?
Well, I think honestly, if you saw our first Grand Prix in Bud, I mean, it was massive. And if you look at the difference of people, like how much people know now, it's going to be, I mean, if they come back, it's going to be huge. And I think F1 will really miss out if they don't come back. But obviously, having an Indian driver, me making it there, strengthens our position to try and have the Grand Prix back. So that's the thing I can control right now. And that's what I'm going to go for. But yeah, I would say F1 really needs to look at India again because we're a very passionate country, and I think we can have a special Grand Prix here again.
Yes, and there's a change because India, we're at the point where every sport. Look at the way chess has just boomeranged at this point. We love to get behind our players, our every sport that we can shine on. Just a couple of questions here. One, I have to ask you about the presence of women drivers. This is one of those sports where it's still nascent. It's still in the initial stages. We need to see more. Your thoughts on that? Because I know there's a lot of effort from F1 and others to push for that. But what else needs to be done, and how do you see that in the coming years?
I think if you go to a karting race now, a local karting race in the UK or something, I mean, if you see the amount of girls that are taking part and are very competitive, is amazing. I mean, 10 years ago, you would not see it. So just in that general, like girls feel like they can take up motorsport is amazing. Obviously not massively in India yet. There's still, there's a couple of girls trying to do it. But it's growing, I mean, it's only growing. Even with the F1 Academy and everything, it's making it a lot more accessible for the girls. And I was actually shocked when I went to the karting track and I saw so many because, when I started when I was 13 or 14, if you saw a girl, it would be like, oh my God, like, what is she doing here? And now it's just completely normal. So it's amazing to see. And I think they're doing a great job on that side for sure.
Yes, and a word on Atika Mir too. What a story that has been, and especially a proud one for an Indian.
No, of course, and at such a young age as well. It's such a competitive championship. Karting is very competitive, and it's only getting more and more competitive. I wish all the best, and I'm definitely going to follow her closely.
Last one before we say bye-bye, Kush. What's the perception like when it comes from the global scene, from Formula One, when they talk about India, what's the perception like, and how do you intend to build on it or change it?
I would say growing for sure. India in many aspects, not just motorsport or not just F2, in every way. But I would say very unknown because people don't know the potential of our country and what our country can bring. So I would say, if I had to describe it in very few words, I would say untapped potential.
Perfect. I think we can end this on that note. All the best, Kush, and we're looking for much more and many more things to come from you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Firstpost now available in 9 languages on YouTube. English,
Stands at $36 trillion.
French,
Le FMI, comme
German,
Geschäftsführenden Direktor,
Hindi,
$30 trillion ka karjo.
Indonesian,
Pemerintah tanpa pemeriksaan.
Italian,
Skali radikali.
Japanese,
4 兆ドル以上も
Portuguese,
por causa do próprio balanço patrimonial.
Spanish.
Beautiful bill.
Go to Settings, click on Audio Track and select a language of your choice. Be the first to know what's happening around you in your first language. Firstpost.